Tony Hogan bought me an ice cream float before he stole my ma, by Kerry Hudson. Read by Jane MacFarlane. Chapter 1. Get out, you cunting, shitting little fucking fucker, were the first words I ever heard. The midwife, a shiny-faced woman who learned entirely new turns of phrase that night, smoothed Ma's hair. You're both fine. We'll have to give you a quick stitch-up later, but baby girl just ripped you a wee bit coming out. Ma laid me, sticky and slack-limbed, on her chest, and wondered how something so pink, puckered and fragile could be so vicious as to tear the person who was meant to love her most in the world. But that was the Ryan women. Fishwives to the marrow, they were always ready to fight and knew the places that would cut deepest. I was not vicious, though. No one could tell if I was clever, or sly, as my grandma had predicted, while blowing Benson and Hedges smoke rings over my ma's swollen belly. I was a bad baby, forever gurning and spitting out my ma's nipple. My delicate skin had mottled with the indignation of being ripped by forceps from a warm, cosy spot where I was perfectly happy. For all my fretful kicking at the air and scratching at my own face, my saving grace was beauty. Everyone said so. A golden baby with extra blue eyes, the slope of my nose and forehead just so. She'll be a wee heartbreaker, Grandma said, smoothing down her mint-green nylon trousers. But she'll have a lot of jealousy, and I know what a burden it is to be born with beauty. Grandma's violet eyes filled, and the tears seeped through her pale powder into the wrinkles underneath. Ma held me to her bony chest, resting my bum on the roll of flesh under her sharp ribs, which was all that remained of my home. Aye, she takes after her daddy. He was gorgeous, those American blue eyes. She's a spit of him. Ma's face crumpled, her mouth sagged in a whine, and her face turned pink. I wondered what I'd been born into. Other Mas in the ward came over and eyed me suspiciously, checking I wasn't heavier, livelier, or prettier than their babies. Mas, my family, came and held their faces so close to mine, I could smell whether they'd had booze or food for breakfast. It was mostly booze. Uncle Frankie, who had a scatter of freckles across his face, eyes the colour of Aberdeen skies, and hair like silky copper, picked me up and held me above his head like a football trophy. You did it, sis, and what a little beauty and all. Even though he was as short as Ma and a bit chubby around the edges, he made the other Mas laugh and tuck wisps of hair behind their ears, and the nurses raise their eyebrows and lower their chins, a very nurse thing to do, I'd noticed. My great-aunt Aggie came, wearing saucer-sized glasses and carrying a half-eaten bag of sherbet lemons. She said I was the image of Rodney Boyle, her first love, who broke her heart, and went to sit at the end of the bed with an unlit fag in her hand to update Grandma on the Andy McGuinness fiasco. My ears, no bigger than a slice of button mushroom, told me the young one was begging for it. After they'd sucked and crunched their way through the sherbet lemons and the juicier details. Standing up in the bus station toilet, Aggie, imagine the filth. I won't be using them again, I'll tell you that. They hoisted their handbags onto their shoulders and marched off in their matching beige high heels to the bingo. The flickering light was switched off, and the nurse put me in the plastic box of a cot. When the squeaks of her shoes were far enough away, Ma picked me up and tucked my head in the crook of her shoulder. I allowed her 1 minute of peace and curled my lips, so small and sweet that they asked to be bitten like jelly sweets, into what Ma joyfully thought was my first smile. It was, in fact, the beginnings of wind. As I felt her arms slacken with the possibility of sleep, I filled my lungs and screamed like only a Ryan woman can. The Crabbit woman opposite sat up and snapped her bedside light on. "For goodness sake, lassie!"
Sample complete. Ready to continue?